anyways, welcome back to Rasan's ASMR Journey. I'm Rasan. I'll be doing the journey. Shout out to Adam Does Movies. Today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about my health journey. It's sort of on my mind because I just got done doing a colonoscopy. I did the prep on Sunday, where you drink a lot of stuff that doesn't taste great, but it's not awful. And then you go in and they get you all prepped up. You get an IV, you get into the gown, and then they take you back and they get you set up and they give you stuff to go to sleep. And you go to sleep, they do their work, and you wake up back in your little cubicle, and they take a look at you for a while, give you something to eat, something to drink if you want, and then you go on about your way and get your results. This is something that I've done probably at least 20 times. Crohn's is quite the disease. I can tell you, of course, personally, what Crohn's has been like for me, but I'm sure that most of you don't know what Crohn's disease is. So I'm going to read you the definition before I get into what it's been like for me to have Crohn's. Crohn's disease is a chronic inflammatory bowel disease causing inflammation anywhere in the digestive tract, leading to symptoms like abdominal pain, severe diarrhea, fatigue, loss of weight, and sometimes bloody stools with flare-ups and remissions. While its exact cause is unknown, genetics, immune system issues, and environmental factors play a role, and there's no cure, but treatments like medications and surgery manage symptoms. So that's the nice AI definition. Sorry about that, guys. There was a car. So that's kind of a nice AI definition. They've got also common symptoms: abdominal pain and cramping, often in lower right abdomen. I have that. Chronic diarrhea, can be watery or bloody. TMI alert. I have that, but not the bloody stools. Fatigue and fever. I've never had the fever, but I have had the fatigue. Weight loss and reduced appetite. I've had that. Mouth sores. I haven't had that. Anal pain, drainage, or bleeding due to fistulas or fissures. I've had fistulas, but no real drainage or bleeding. It's unknown causes. It says causes and risk factors. Unknown causes. Likely a combination of genetics, immune system malfunction, and environmental triggers. Immune system. An abnormal reaction to gut bacteria. Genetics runs in families. Environmental. Smoking significantly increases risk. Diet. High fat and stress may aggravate but doesn't cause. Now, smoking is a thing that I've done. Not the greatest thing to do, as we can see, but some of us do have those bad habits. Complications with Crohn's: bowel obstruction, ulcers, fistulas, malnutrition, increased risk of blood clots and colon cancer, inflammation in eyes, skin, joints, liver. Management and treatment: no cure, lifelong condition. Medications, anti-inflammatory drugs, immune suppressants, biologics. I've had all of these. I'm on an immunosuppressant right now. Nutrition therapy, surgery for complications like blockages or fistulas. We'll get into that in a minute. So, when I was 16, I started having really bad abdominal pain, and I started going to the doctor for it around then. They would do scans of my stomach and scans of my throat, and they did all kind of tests, but never found anything, couldn't tell me what was wrong, and that was pretty hard on me. Because I knew something was wrong, and I knew it was bad, and I knew it was really painful, but I didn't know what to do with it or do for it, because no doctors knew what was wrong with me. So then we get to my early 20s. I was probably like 21, 22, and it's getting real bad. I feel worse than I've ever felt. I feel literally like I'm dying. I have this burning sensation in my right hip, and it feels like battery acid is in there, and I feel extremely tired, and it feels like breathing is hard. And when I say it felt like breathing was hard, what I mean is it felt like remembering to breathe was a thing. Like breathing wasn't automatic anymore, and like at any time my breathing could stop if I didn't remember to breathe. So my mom actually fought for me to get tested one last time. I had aged out of military insurance, but she fought for me to get tested again, for them to see me again and fix the problem, whatever it was. And after I did that one last test, they saw that I had leakage from my intestine into my side, which could make me go septic. Going septic is having basically like anything. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, there was a car again. I'm doing this actually at 5:46 in the morning because it was so quiet. And usually there's something going on when I do my videos, like sorry guys, there's always something going on, like my refrigerator or the heat or cars. So I wanted to do this when it was quite, like, this is the quietest it's been. So so I said that I had like leakage from my intestine, that just sort of, there was a pocket of the leakage on my right hip, and I was in danger of sepsis. Sepsis is a life-threatening medical emergency where the body's extreme response to an infection damages its own tissues and organs, potentially leading to shock, organ failure, and death, requiring immediate treatment and with antibiotics and supportive care for symptoms like fever, rapid heart rate, confusion, and shortness of breath. Its leading cause of death, often starting from infections in the lungs, urinary tract, or skin, and early recognition of symptoms and prompt medical attention are crucial for survival. Now, they got me in, they saw that I had this leakage, and then what they did was do a local anesthetic, which is just like sort of what you would get, at least this time, it was like what you would get if you go to the dentist and they inject your gums with numbing medicine. They injected my hip with something like that, and then two men got a rod and basically hit me in the side until there was a hole there. It was awful. It was extremely painful. It was the worst pain I had ever felt. It was one of the few times that I have wished for death. But when they got done, they put a drain in my side, and that drain started to drain out the leakage from my intestine. And immediately, like, outside of the extreme pain that it took for them to make that whole, the other issues that I was dealing with, the way I was feeling like I was going to die, that ended up ceasing when the hole was put in there, and when the drain was put in there. And as far as that was concerned, I immediately started to feel better once that stuff started getting out of my system. But I was emotionally and mentally and physically drained. Psychologically, I was just out of it. I felt a pain like nothing I had ever felt before. And I was trying to not cry because I knew my mom would be real worried about me. But when she came to the office, or where I was, where the procedure was being done, she came in after it was done because they wouldn't let her back there while the procedure was going on. And I just busted out crying. I got in a wheelchair and just sobbed for a minute when my mom came in. And I stopped crying, and I got big mad. As I was being taken to my room, I was big mad at the procedure that had just gone on. I was big mad at the fact that it seemed like as the years went on, doctors weren't listening to me. It went from, we just can't find what's wrong with you, to we've been doing this for a while. And there were some doctors that would give the impression that they thought that either A, I was just there because I was wanting attention, or B, I was there because I was wanting drugs. And, even now I can run into some doctors, even though I've been clearly diagnosed. I'll run into some doctors that treat me like that. Thank goodness I haven't run into any like that recently. But anyway, I'm in the wheelchair and I'm big mad. I have big feelings. I was mad about the fact that because my surgeon actually, I had called him a few days before I ended up in the hospital, and I told him I needed better pain meds, and the pain meds that I had weren't even narcotics that he had given me. And I told him I needed better pain meds, and he said he didn't give narcotics out unless he did surgery. And I knew I needed surgery at that time. Whatever was wrong with me, I knew I needed surgery, but I wanted the doctors to know or have a better idea of what was going on, what they Sorry guys, car again. I wanted the doctor to have a better understanding of what was going on with me before they cut me open. I just thought, wow, you're gonna just cut me open and have absolutely no clue what's going on? That seems medically unsound. Like, if you have to do it, then yes, fine. But not having even an idea, a thought of what might be wrong with me, and you're going to cut me open? So he said he would give me better pain meds if I allowed him to do exploratory surgery on me. And I thought about it real hard. My mother is in the medical field. She was a physician assistant. So I thought about it real hard, and I decided no, that it seemed too dangerous to me for him to cut me open and have absolutely zero hypothesis on what was going on in my body. But when they found out that I had that leakage in my intestine, and I'm going up in the wheelchair to my room, later on in my hospital stay, I should say, that my surgeon, the same surgeon that wanted to cut me open and didn't want to give me actually good pain meds, that one, he was man enough to talk to my mother, and he apologized to my mother for what he had done. And he said that if he had have done exploratory surgery on me, I would have died, because he would have cut me open, and all that bad material that would cause infection would have gone throughout my body instead of staying in that pocket in my hip. He would have cut me open, that would have gone throughout my body, and I would have died. So yay for me making the right choice, huh? Anyway, I get up to my room, and I'm thirsty. I hadn't had anything to eat or drink in probably 2 days, maybe 2.5. And I asked for some water in my room, and they go and they get me a carafe of water, and it's like a pitcher. They get me a pitcher of water, and I am waiting to drink it, and it's so cold and icy that, it's got the water droplets on the outside of it. And they end up coming back in before I could get one sip and saying I couldn't have anything to eat or drink until the doctor said I could. I was pissed. I was hot. It was the first time I was able to drink in a couple of days, and I was thirsty, and I felt like I had been tortured by having that JP drain put in. And then, no agua for me. I said, what the hell? These people are just getting on my last goddamn nerve. And so I was super pissed. I was hot. I'm telling you guys, I was hot. But after a while, I ended up calming down. And what had happened was, long story short, too late, I end up staying in the hospital for a month. I get IV antibiotics. I was running 2 lines of IV antibiotics, and I had 1 IV in one arm and 1 IV in the other. And it ended up that I couldn't sustain that. My veins couldn't sustain running all these IVs all the time. So I got a temporary Hickman, which is a temporary, basically a stent into a main vein in my chest. And it had 2 looked like little hoses coming out of it, or little cords that you could hook up IVs to. That way I wouldn't have to be poked all the time, and also you could get blood from these little cords or hoses. And while I was there for a month, I pretty much ran 2 IVs of antibiotics, and also they would come and get blood every day to check to make sure that I wasn't fighting infection. So probably 5 days before it would have been a month of me staying there. And also, the whole time I could only eat pureed. My mom brought me pureed Campbell's chicken noodle soup, because it was a bit more filling than the liquid broth type soup that I was being given, because the whole time I was there I couldn't eat any solid food. But about a week before it would be a month, I was finally able to get my surgery. It took that long because they had to make sure they had drained most, if not all, of that substance that had leaked into my side out. And also they had to get me healthy enough for surgery because I was really sick. So they get me healthy enough for surgery, and they cut off some intestines and reattach. And at the time, I wasn't sure if I was going to wake up with a colostomy bag, which is a bag that is attached to your intestines. So you don't actually go to the bathroom anymore. The waste goes in the bag. And so I wasn't sure, because the doctor wasn't sure if I might have to have a temporary colostomy bag so my intestines could rest and heal or not. So when I woke up, and I absolutely did not want a bag. Of course I didn't. I'm 21 years old, and even if you're 50, you don't necessarily want a colostomy bag. You have to have one. So I wake up from surgery. I look down, no bag, just a bandage. And then I see my mom, and I'm a happy camper. Made it through surgery, go to ICU, spend the night in the ICU being looked after. And then I went back on my floor the next day. And about 2, maybe 3 days after my surgery, I was back at home finally. And also after my surgery, before I left, I was eating solid food again finally, and I was real happy about that because, spoiler alert, not movie talk, Rasan over here is a piglet. Rasan is a big piglet. She loves her food, okay? I love cooking, I love feeding people, and I love eating. I'm just a little piglet. So I was real happy to get food back on the table, solid food, because I was also big upset about that. But funny enough, after the surgery, I was never told what I had or what was going on. It was like nobody knew still. They just knew that the intestines were messed up. They had to cut them, reattach them. That's it. So I go about my business, and probably a month after the surgery, I feel the same pain in my stomach. And I always knew that whatever it was that I had surgery for wasn't gone. I knew that from the beginning. I knew whatever I had was a chronic illness that probably could not be fixed. I figured there weren't any meds that would take it away, or anything that I could really do about it to make it go away. Anywho, about a month after, like I said, I still have pain in my stomach, so I end up going to a new doctor, and I describe all the things that had happened to me since I was 16, the fact that I just had surgery where they cut out my intestines and reattached them, and that I had that leakage in my side. And she tells me right away, she goes, "Sounds like you have Crohn's." I said, "What's Crohn's?" And then she described Crohn's to me, and it was every symptom I had ever had, and I couldn't figure out why she was the only doctor who had said or thought that I had this. It's like I should have been diagnosed years ago, or at the very least when I was having surgery. But no, it took a doctor that saw me after my surgery to diagnose me officially with Crohn's. And I was very grateful to her, because I already knew that whatever I had, like I said, was chronic, could not be cured. But I knew that whatever I had also, the symptoms could be at least managed somewhat. Skip to many years later, and managing my symptoms has been very hard. I'm usually flaring all the time, or I'm usually inflamed all the time. So I deal with a lot of pain in my joints. I deal with a lot of pain in my abdomen. I deal with a lot of going to see various doctors all the time. And I deal with being in the ER or being admitted to the hospital a lot as well. So when I do end up in the hospital or even in the ER, it's like old home week. I check on people's pets and kids and just how things are going in their life, because I know them, because I see them regularly. And 99.9% of them are just amazing people. So I try to see the silver lining in all of this, if you will. I try to see that there are people that I would have never met had it not been for me being sick, and there's some really great people that I've met through going in the hospital or going to appointments. So yeah, that's my Crohn's story for now, after I got my colonoscopy. And I'm going to do some updates on that for you guys when I have them, or when I go to the doctor and want to chit chat about something that's happened. By the way, also, one of the meds that I take for Crohn's is a shot once a month. Skyrizi. I'm sure you guys have seen the annoying ass commercial. I think it's an annoying ass commercial because every time I see it, it reminds me, oh yeah, bitch, you have Crohn's. You got Crohn's. We're listening, you have Crohn's. I'm like, I know I have Crohn's. I don't need you to remind me. I'd rather you not. If I'm going to be so honest and so bold about it, I'd rather you be quiet and shut the fluff up. But anyway, guys, that's all for me right now. Thank you all for listening. And, comment down below if you've ever had a bad or a good experience with the healthcare system here in America. And if you have a chronic illness, let me know. If you deal with chronic pain, let me know. Tell me your story, because I know I went through a lot with mine. So feel free to share if you'd like. Give this video a thumbs up if you like as well. And subscribe. There'll be more to come. And I would just like to tell you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Good night. Good night.